Greetings, viewers. Welcome to today's class where we'll be treating on Fasciola SP. Fasciola SP. So, Fasciola SP is under the class of trematodes. Now, both the Fasciola SP and the schistosomas, and the Fasciola SP are under the class of trematodes. But we are going to be basically looking at the Fasciola SP today. Now, the Fasciola SP is a parasite that causes a disease called fascioliasis. And this fascioliasis is actually a disease, but we are going to look at the parasite first. Now, the parasite Fasciola SP is divided into two species. We have the Fasciola hepatica and we have the Fasciola gigantica. So these are the two species of the Fasciola. And now we are going to be looking at the basic differences between Fasciola and schistosoma. Now, the first difference is that in Fasciola, two intermediate hosts is involved. On the side of the Fasciola. And what are these two intermediate hosts? Snails and the watercress. Then in schistosoma, one intermediate host is involved, which is the snail only, Then another difference is that the infective stage of the Fasciola is called the metasaccharia, while the infective stage of schistosoma is the saccharia. Now, the host, that's the snail, the species of snail that Fasciola is and schistosoma depends on, are actually different. In Fasciola, they only live in the species of snail called the Limna natalensis, while in schistosoma, the globulus and other species of snails. Then we'll now be looking at the basic similarities. Of course, you know that Fasciola and schistosoma are under the same class, so they must have similarities. Now, the first similarity is that both of them actually live in an aquatic organism for propagation of their life cycle. And actually both of them makes use of snail as their intermediate host. Now, we'll now be looking at the life cycle of Fasciola sp. Now, it all begins with the ingestion. It begins with the ingestion of the metasaccharia. Now, this metasaccharia actually has what we call a cyst. And how can we resist this cyst? There's a process. There's something that is known as encystment. Encystment is the breaking of the cyst. So this metasaccharia undergoes encystment, which makes the cyst to go. And then the fluke that's the parasite, is now released into the small intestine or the duodenum. The duodenum. And then this duodenum, the parasite now migrates through the duodenal walls, and moves to the peritoneal cavity, peritoneal or the abdominal cavity, into the liver. So the fasciola migrates from the duodenal walls to the peritoneal or the abdominal cavity into the liver, and then settles in the biliary tract, or the bile duct, Now, the eggs of this fasciola will grow and mature inside the bile duct. So when it matures and is being released to the external environment, then the eggs now hatches to what we call the meracidia. Then this meracidia actually now will be looking for its appropriate host, which is the limna natalensis. It will now look for its appropriate host so that it will depend on the host for its survival. So if actually later found this host, then the meracidia, when it now enters the limna natalensis, the meracidia will now metamorphosize to the sporosis. Then it will now change or metamorphosize to the radial, then to the saccharia. This is the life cycle of Fasciola sp. Now, let's actually look at the pathology of Fasciola sp. Now, Fasciola sp causes a disease known as the fascioliasis. Now, this fascioliasis is a disease. Then pathology is the study of disease. Now, the disease it causes, that this fascioliasis cause, or the symptoms, is what we call, number one, we have the urticaria or hives. This urticaria is whereby the body of an individual is swollen and is itching, a red swollen skin. Another symptom is that the individual or the patient will have slight fever. And another symptom is that there will be an increased level of eosinophil. Then what is this eosinophil? Eosinophil are white blood cells that actually react to parasitic reactions. Now, when Fasciola sp, what Fasciola sp does to the human body is that it will now increase the level of eosinophil. Then the increased or the high level of eosinophil is what we actually call the eosinophilia, which is an abnormal condition. Then it also causes the inflammation of the liver or spleen. Then the inflammation of the liver is called hepatomegaly. Inflammation of the spleen is called the splenomegaly. Then the inflammation of the liver and the spleen is called we can actually call them together as the hepatosplenomegaly. So the inflammation of the liver and the spleen is called the hepatosplenomegaly. Now, the drug for curing this fasciola SP, the two main drugs are the triclabendazole, the triclabendazole and the biotianol These are the two main drugs for curing fasciola SP. So in our next class, we will be talking about the schistosomas. Thank you. This is all about fasciola SP. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thank you.